Welcome to Akathisia Stories, a podcast from MIST, the Medication-Induced Suicide Prevention and Education Foundation, in memory of Stuart Dolan. MIST is a nonprofit dedicated to raising awareness about akathisia, a medication-induced disorder that can cause suicide, self-harm, and violence. Our mission is simple: increase education and save lives. Katie Brennan is a former finalist for Minnesota Teacher of the Year, with a master's degree in education and 48 additional upper division graduate credits in education and English. During her 20-year teaching career, Katie taught high school English, including English for college credit. Katie is a woman of strong faith and the mother of 6 children and 9 grandchildren. At age 48, with no history of mental illness, Katie was prescribed Ambien and Prozac during a stressful job transition and developed crippling akathisia. While suffering from akathisia, Katie was misdiagnosed as mentally ill, which led to 3 wrongful civil commitments within 5 years. These commitments justified the continued inappropriate and harmful use of the psychiatric medications causing the akathisia, perpetuating her suffering for an agonizing 7 years. She has been in an ongoing legal battle since 2021 in both federal and state court to vacate the wrongful civil commitments and restore her reputation, her dignity, and her civil and constitutional rights. Katie's journey has taught her that her experiences in the mental health system, in which akathisia and other life-threatening medication reactions are often dismissed and ignored, are not unique. Katie, who is alive by the grace of God, is now dedicated to raising awareness of akathisia to prevent more needless suffering, offer hope, and save lives. She also advocates for better training on akathisia for providers, social workers, and court officers, and the need for oversight and accountability in civil commitment proceedings. Hi, Katie. How are you doing today?
Hi, Ivan. Good. How are you?
Doing well. So I know you and I kind of talked a little bit before the podcast, and you gave me the rundown and your backstory and everything you've been through. But for people who don't know, kind of walk us back to 2014 and even earlier. What was your medical and mental history like? How were you like before you were prescribed Ambien and Prozac?
I had no history of mental illness. I had never taken psychiatric or psychotropic drugs. In 2014, I took a new teaching job. It was kind of an agonizing decision. I had spent 20 years at one school and I loved the community. They were like my family, my second family. And I got an offer from a neighboring school, also a great community. Wonderful people. They had way better health insurance benefits, so that's a little ironic. They had great benefits. My salary would be the same. It was a wonderful offer, and I agonized about taking the job, and I finally decided to do it for my family. And shortly after I started, I realized how much I missed my old community. Again, they weren't just students to me, they were like my children. I was really ingrained in that community. I always said I had 2 wonderful jobs. The most important job I've had is being a mom, and my second most important job was being a teacher. Being a mom prepares you for being a teacher because it stretches your heart. It teaches you how to love. And then I was fortunate to take care of other people's kids, and I wanted them to become their best. And I truly cared about the students I served and their families. So I began the new job and I wasn't sleeping well. I had never struggled with anxiety or depression. I had some other than normal things, right? I'm a mom. I have 6 kids. So you have natural worry about your kids at times, but nothing abnormal. I was also 48 years old. And I was in perimenopause. So hormonally, things are moving and changing as well. So it's a little bit of a vulnerable time for women. Just like menopause, pregnancy, adolescence, we go through things and that affects us as women in a nuanced way. That's a little different. And I went in for an allergy shot during this time. I took regular allergy shots. I have seasonal allergies and some food allergies. And when I went in for the allergy testing, they required me to do a mental health screening. And I flunked, apparently. I flunked the screening. Anybody in my position would probably be flagged because I wasn't sleeping due to normal reasons, right? I was missing my old community. I missed bringing my kids to school in the morning. It was just way different, but it wasn't outside of the norm. So they had me see a nurse practitioner whom I'd never seen. It wasn't my regular doctor. And that nurse practitioner at that appointment prescribed Ambien, Prozac, and Ativan. Just to clarify, I had no history of mental illness. I had never taken any medication. At that time, I never thought to question providers. I was naive. I trusted them. She gave me the medication, and I didn't look at her notes until later. When I subsequently reviewed her notes, I'm a hot mess in her notes. I don't even recognize the person she's describing. She falsely included that I had a family history of severe mental illness. I'm not really sure why or how she came to that conclusion, but I look really bad in her notes, worse than I was. So she sent me home with a prescription. She never told me about potential side effects or risks. I went home and I took the Ambien, and instead of helping me sleep, it kept me up and made me agitated. I had no idea it could have a paradoxical effect. So medications can do the opposite. They can have paradoxical effects in people. So I continued taking it over the weekend, and then it wasn't helping. I was sleeping less and less. I was up at night. I was agitated. It was from the Ambien, but I didn't realize it. So then I took 1 dose of Prozac, 1 dose. And I think it was 20 milligrams. I'm not positive. And it was like somebody set my central nervous system on fire. It was unbelievable. I was in utter panic. So it didn't happen instantly. It happened at about the time that it would take effect. I couldn't stop moving. I was super agitated. It was like anxiety on steroids. I'd never had an anxiety attack, but I speculate maybe that's what it feels like. My heart was racing out of my chest, and I just couldn't. It was horrible. It was horrible. Again, it's like your central nervous system is on fire. So I got on my bicycle, and my youngest son, who had just turned 11, was worried, right? Here he sees his mom, who's always been stable, never had any issues, and all of a sudden she's acting bizarrely. So I got on my bike, and he got on his because he was worried, and he and I went to a hill by my house, and that hill goes straight up like this. And I went up and down, up and down, up and down that hill, and I could not stop moving. I went home. I stayed on edge. I still went back to teaching. I don't know how I did that. By the end of the week, and I did not take the Ativan because I was nervous, right? I called the provider, and instead of stopping the medication, instead of being aware of paradoxical reactions, she prescribed a second antidepressant. And that was like pouring gasoline on someone burning alive.
And I know, and this might be jumping ahead a little bit, but when did you first kind of like learn of the word akathisia or realize, okay, this is exactly, that's what I've been feeling?
So as far as I can see my awareness of akathisia from my medical records, my awareness, not providers diagnosing it, they had diagnosed it, but nobody had mentioned it to me. My awareness shows up in like the spring of 2019, an appointment with my psychiatrist, Dr. Johnson. Dr. Johnson is the epitome of whatever every mental health clinician should be. He's a psychiatrist. He listens to his patients. He does not pathologize them. He looks for side effects. He was aware of akathisia. My first time seeing him was in 2016. At that very first appointment, he notes that I have a movement disorder. He also speculates that I have Huntington's disease. That's how severe my akathisia was presenting. Huntington's is a debilitating and deadly neurological condition. And he was that in tune. So he immediately cut back on the Haldol, which at that point was really gassing it up. So in 2019, when I was seeing him, we talked about akathisia. And I was aware of it, and he was aware of it. And in 2019, I had gotten better. I had been under the care of Dr. Johnson and off the psychotropic medications that had caused and worsened my akathisia for approximately 18 months. 18 months. So I'm in agony every day. And I had told Dr. Johnson that the benzodiazepine Ativan was the only thing that would like give me a window in the middle of the nightmare, give me a minute to breathe. And so he prescribed it for me. If he hadn't done that, there's no way I would have made it those 18 months. Other providers had said I was drug seeking. When I said that, he knew it was the truth. And then one day in the spring of 2019, one day, it was like March, April, I got up one morning and the world was quiet and my body was calm. And I remember going to the window and the sun was out and the colors were so vibrant and bright and my mind was clear. And I thought, am I better? I thought I was nervous to believe it had ended because it had been such a nightmare. Again, even in the absence of the drugs that caused and worsened it, 18 months in agony. And so I had recovered. I was better. It had lifted. It did not come back at that time. And so it was after that that I saw Dr. Johnson, and then we really discussed akathisia as the possible culprit for everything, that I had never been mentally ill, that it was simply akathisia and other adverse reactions manifesting or appearing like severe mental illness.
Yeah, I was going to say, looking back on that, what was it like to have akathisia kind of mistaken for that, the severe mental illness that you just have?
It was a nightmare. So, because when you have akathisia and you're as sick as I was, you need other people to help you. You need other people to advocate for you. And my family knew it was the medications, and they tried to tell providers that they believed it was the medications, that I never was like this before the medications. And providers just dismissed them like they dismissed me. And my family was desperate for me to get better. They brought me all over the place. And providers just continued to respond with the aggressive use of powerful antipsychotics, antidepressants, mood stabilizers. It was just constant polypharmacy, just aggressive drugging, at times by force. And I was powerless to defend myself and to stop it. The 2019, when it lifted, when the akathisia lifted, I stopped taking the Ativan, because the Ativan, it's kind of like if you had a headache and you took something for the headache and the headache's gone, you quit the aspirin, you quit the ibuprofen. I didn't know any better. You can't abruptly stop a benzodiazepine. You can't. I stopped the Ativan because I didn't need it anymore. I was better. And then in 2019, I started to experience protracted withdrawal syndrome. So I had GI distress and issues. I had metabolic issues. My blood pressure was high. I had burning mouth syndrome. I had almost a euphoria because my neurotransmitters were trying to rebalance. I wasn't manic, but at the same time, you can't imagine the joy that comes with walking out of the darkness and the gratitude at simply being alive after that nightmare. So I was experiencing some Ativan withdrawal, and we were also having marital problems because this whole journey has been a nightmare and a burden on a marriage. And I was concerned that I would get psychiatrically incarcerated again, that I would be held under a hold, that I would be forced to take the drugs again. I was concerned about a third civil commitment at this point. And so I was trying to get a lawyer that summer to protect me. And unfortunately, I don't want to go into all the details, but I wound up being put on a hold in the hospital again. I wound up in the hospital. And when I got to the hospital, I tried to explain the medication and that I had a history of misdiagnoses. And the more I tried to explain myself, the more I was not heard, the more I was pathologized. And at that point, I knew my rights, okay? And I knew that I wasn't suicidal and I wasn't violent. I wasn't a danger to anyone else. And I was nervous, and it was triggering trauma to be locked up and held in an ER without a voice and without telling me that I'd been placed on a hold. They put me on a hold, and they didn't offer a less restrictive option. They didn't offer the hospital to stay in. Instead, they put me on a hold, and then they had me go in a medical transport. And my husband and I were having problems. So I thought maybe they were taking me to like a women's center for support. I didn't know. So they put me in the transport and sent me almost 3 hours away to a hospital in Fargo, North Dakota. I'm a Minnesota resident. So they didn't tell me where I was going. I get to the hospital. The minute I get there, all these people come at me with purple gloves and immediately inject me with something called a B52. It's a combination of Ativan, Haldol, Benadryl. That combination is toxic for me. So I can't take Haldol. I can't take Benadryl. And so what that did was it caused like a psychotic break. The medication left me significantly impaired and caused me to humiliate myself and act out of character. And then they continued to drug me. There was no emergency at the time. There was no reason for them to do this. There was no court order. And my tongue started swelling. I couldn't drink water. I had a seizure. It was horrible. It was humiliating. And I didn't have my own clothes. I didn't have anything. I couldn't call my family. So when they had put me on that medical hold, they sent me to North Dakota where they drugged me for 3 days against my will with medication well documented as inappropriate and medically harmful, not in my best interest. And nobody allowed me to call my family, and they didn't call my family. So for 3 days, my family had no idea where I was.
And at that time, when you showed up and they injected you, you weren't taking anything else during that time? You completely stopped?
Yes, I wasn't on any medication because Dr. Johnson had clarified that all the medications I'd been given, other than the Ativan, right, had contributed to the akathisia and perpetuated it.
So then now you're getting all these at once.
And I'm powerless to defend myself. And because I have a court record perpetuating that medical misdiagnosis of severe mental illness, all they did is look at the court record. Nobody contacted my medical providers. When they detained me at the hospital, even after they had drugged me, I tried to tell them, I can't take these medications. They're dangerous for me to take. I had genetic testing. It confirms my inability to metabolize them. Please contact my doctors. And I gave them Dr. Johnson's name. And I gave them the name of my primary care doctor who also knew about my history with the medications. They never contacted either one. Nobody made any attempt to do that. Unbeknownst to me, they immediately started civil commitment proceedings. They contacted the county, and the county petitions for commitment where I live. So it isn't a hospital. It's not a medical provider. It's the county. So it's a social worker, not a doctor. And the social worker called to interview me at the hospital. You have to keep in mind, I was being aggressively drugged. So I'm impaired. And it's also brought back the agony of akathisia. And I tried to explain. I let the social worker, who's supposed to be my advocate, but she was deliberately indifferent in her care. And I told her, I have misdiagnoses. Call Dr. Johnson. I gave the full name. I said where he works. I said he can support what I'm saying. I said I've had genetic testing. I told her all of this. And I told them that they were violating my rights, that they were not following the law, that I'd been sent without being told, that my husband and I were having problems. And she wrote this pre-petition screening for the court that's utterly libelous. It's full of slander and defamation and a misrepresentation of the facts. She proceeded to tell my daughter that I made up Dr. Johnson. He didn't exist. Made him up. My daughter and my brother. Yep. My daughter and my brother both told the social worker that I was not a danger to myself or others. She talked to my other daughter, who said that my husband and I were having a difficult time. And she said the last time she saw me, I was doing fine. And she was confused as to why I'd be in the hospital right now. My daughter also said that whenever they intervened and put me in the hospital, I got worse. I never got better. I only got better when I was out of the hospital. So I had no credibility and I had no way to protect myself or defend myself.
Can you talk a little bit about what were some of the other rights that were taken away kind of as a result of that commitment?
Yeah. So in a civil commitment proceeding, you cannot represent yourself. You can't proceed pro se and represent yourself. For your own protection, you have to have an attorney. You have the right to hire your own independent counsel. However, where I live in Cass County, with my first commitment, I felt like I was Alice in Wonderland and I'd gone down the rabbit hole. Nobody explained my rights. Nobody told me how this worked. It was horrible. And my family was powerless. They thought that in the hospital, they would take me off the drugs. They thought that they would help me get better. That's never what they did. It was just more and more drugs. Also, when I was locked up in the hospital, I was not allowed to see my minor children. I was kept from them for months at a time. Nothing was more important to me than being a mom. And so they took away what kept me alive, in the sense that my healing came from two things. Two things kept me alive: my faith and my children. Sophocles wrote that children anchor a mother to life. And my faith is what allowed me to keep going, yet they weaponized that against me too. It was a sign of psychosis, a delusional disorder, grandiose thinking, hyperreligiosity. Akathisia affects your body, your mind, and your spirit. It's an agony that's incomprehensible. In the akathisia, I experienced the darkest night of my soul. I felt a complete and utter abandonment and absence of God. And He had been my anchor since the death of my mom at age 10. And now I felt that He had abandoned me. I thought I was damned. I thought I was going to hell. And so even though I had suicidal ideation, there's no way I was going to take my life. I wasn't going to abandon my children, and I was not going to die because I thought I was going to hell. And I believed that with all my heart, not because of the suicide, but because of my belief in my deep, dark night of the soul caused by akathisia, that God had abandoned me, that I was unworthy. I don't think anybody who's had akathisia would understand what I'm talking about. It's utter terror. Like, I couldn't listen to music. I couldn't watch TV. I couldn't get comfort anywhere. And in my agony, I continued to cry out to God. So in 2019, when the agony lifted and the darkness was gone, I believed that God had healed me. Does that make me mentally ill? Because according to them, it did. Suddenly, I was mentally ill because I had stopped the medication. But they didn't realize the only medication I was on was the Ativan to manage the akathisia at that point. Dr. Johnson had clarified that I did not have bipolar disorder. I did not have schizoaffective disorder. I did not have schizophrenia. I did not have anything that the court had labeled me with, major depressive disorder with psychotic features. I had akathisia.
Yeah. And the horrible thing about it is, like, you're going through all this stuff personally, and mentally, but going back to it, the most difficult thing that you have to fight is, like, the civil commitment appears in the national database, which probably happened after the first one. So it's like, how else had that affected your life? How else was that kind of affecting you?
So a civil commitment record, and I've had a lawsuit in federal court. I'm now back in state court to vacate these wrongful civil commitments that never should have been placed in the first place. There are statutes in Minnesota. There are federal laws that were completely ignored. They broke the law when they committed me. Yet I've never been allowed to get to court to present my evidence to show that they did not follow the law. And the fact that I was repeatedly committed when I wasn't mentally ill should alarm everyone, because a simple subjective label of any mental health condition can justify this. So I think people need to really understand that the minute you go in to see someone for any type of support, you now have to have a mental health label of some kind. And at that point, they can prescribe, and often do prescribe, these powerful psychotropic drugs to which people can have adverse reactions, including paradoxical reactions and akathisia and other debilitating and deadly side effects. And so it's alarming that this could happen to anyone. So with the commitment record, like with the first commitment, I didn't know this. And then by the time of the third commitment, I did know this. So when you're civilly committed, you're put in an instant national criminal database for life. In Minnesota, that's monitored by the FBI. That's per the 1993 federal Brady Act, which was instituted after John Hinckley Jr. shot Ronald Reagan. Reagan was shot in the 80s, but the Brady Act happened in 1993. So you're put in a national criminal database, and then each state can determine who monitors the database. And in Minnesota, it's monitored by the FBI. So that database is supposed to prevent you from ever owning a firearm again. So when you're civilly committed, you permanently lose your Second Amendment rights. You can petition the court to get your Second Amendment rights back, but that usually doesn't ever happen for people. And it also creates this false public record of severe mental illness that's easily accessible. In Minnesota, you can go to the Minnesota judicial website and just type in my name, and it'll repeatedly show that I was committed as mentally ill when I was not, and I have no way to fix that at this point. When you do a background check on me, it shows that I've been committed. So they stole my teaching career. I haven't been able to teach again. And I tried to talk to a legislator in the Twin Cities who's the head of the Judiciary Committee, and he told me that that's not how this works. He's trying to tell me that my own experiences aren't accurate in how the law works. What he must not understand is that in the digital age, with all the technology and AI, when you do a background check on someone, that commitment record shows up. It's pulled in. And I have been denied employment. I've even been denied an opportunity to sub. So it's continuing to impact my life. It's also affected how people perceive me in the community. People to this day believe that I'm mentally ill and I must just have found the right medication. And it's pointless trying to keep explaining to people that I had akathisia, right? They won't listen. And the alarming thing in a civil commitment is by the time of the third commitment, I had a court record full of misrepresentations of fact that was never challenged by my court-appointed counsel. I had ineffective assistance of counsel throughout all of these proceedings. The lawyer is supposed to be a vigorous advocate for me in court, yet my lawyers presented no medical evidence, including my genetic testing or documentation from my medical providers, nor did they call any witnesses who could support what I'm saying. Their court-appointed experts are also all psychologists, not properly trained psychiatrists. Psychiatrists are medical doctors who have an understanding of medications and medication side effects. There was no neuropsychiatrist who could talk about akathisia, who could explain what was going on. And the other irony is at the time of every single commitment, I had a documented medical diagnosis of akathisia in my records. So my providers knew I had akathisia, and instead of stopping the medication, many of them either added to it or increased it. It makes no sense. I also, again, had that pharmacogenetic testing that predates any commitment. So when I got sick with akathisia in the fall of 2014, in the spring of 2015, prior to any commitments, I went to a provider, a psychiatrist affiliated with University of Minnesota. That provider did genetic testing. I also did like a program down there, and it didn't help. That was a different provider, and he never really fully explained the genetic testing, but the genetic testing shows I am a hot mess for a broad range of pharmaceuticals, especially those used in mental health. So when you look at the testing, it's got a big warning sign next to antidepressants. It's got a big warning sign next to antipsychotics. At the same time, I'm being given those classes of medications. Nobody stopped them. Nobody ever introduced that evidence to the court. This is genetic testing. This isn't some weird rogue science. They do genetic testing all the time for cancer. They even test people genetically for medications in cancer treatment. Yet in mental health, we ignore this. That genetic testing is super important too, because it isn't just mental health medications that are metabolized by our liver enzymes and affected by deficiencies or an inability to metabolize. It also includes antibiotics, antihistamines. The list goes on and on. So a simple antibiotic like ciprofloxacin, which is a fluoroquinolone, could cause mood problems in me. I can't break it down. There's a black box warning on that antibiotic. That alone could cause akathisia. There are certain anti-nausea drugs, anesthetics. It's amazing. And yet we're not testing people before we're medicating them. Even if, though, someone is not flagged in the genetic testing, you can still develop akathisia when starting, stopping, changing medication. And so you can't just go by the testing, but that testing is still critical, a critical component. And again, no one introduced that in court. And I was powerless. So everybody has to understand, in the court, I would testify on my own behalf, but I lacked credibility. And they would always say to me, I had no insight into my illness because I was mentally ill. It's called anosthenosia, lacking insight because of mental illness. And the irony is, I may have been a little scattered when I was testifying, but I told the truth. I told the court the names of my providers, that I had had genetic testing. I used the word allergic to these medications, and that I'd been misdiagnosed. Yet my court-appointed attorney called no witnesses and put forth no evidence. Is that a vigorous advocate?
I'm wondering, what protections do you think should exist for people who are experiencing medication kind of induced injuries? Like, what protection should they have?
So it's kind of like criminal defendant. So I don't know how else or what other context to put it in. Civil commitments are very nuanced. They fall between civil and criminal law. A mental health label alone is not enough to commit someone. It's not. You have to be a danger to yourself or others. There was a big Supreme Court case in 1975 called O'Connor v. Donaldson, and you have to show that the person is a danger to themselves or to others. Okay, it can't just be the label. However, that's not how it works. The minute you're given a label, you're discredited. You suddenly lack insight. Everybody else knows better than you what's good for you. That's scary. There is no such thing as bodily autonomy to someone given a mental health label. Everybody else owns you. Everybody else profits from you, and you have no rights. We need real advocates. So if you find yourself in a locked psychiatric ward, by the way, you can't leave. You're locked in there. Your family can't get you out. Nobody can get you out. So they can start coercing you to take the medication. And if you don't take the medication, they can forcibly drug you. The law says they need it to be an emergency. They need a court order, but they often ignore the law because there's nobody who will step in. In Minnesota, we have something called the Ombudsman for Mental Health and Developmental Disabilities. However, they will not help. When I would call them, they told me that they lacked the authority and the resources. So the Ombudsman for Mental Health lacks the authority and the resources to step in. They told me they could send me some information on my rights. By the way, every time I was locked up, nobody gave me any information on my rights. I did not know what my rights were. I did not know I had a right of appeal, and none of my attorneys ever filed an appeal at the time of the commitments. So that window of appeal, by the way, has now expired because you can only appeal while you're committed. So the ombudsman won't step in. They say they lack the resources and the authority. There are no protection and advocacy or civil rights groups either. So you can try to call the Disability Law Center in Minnesota. You'll be put on hold, sent everywhere across the state, and then they'll be told they don't help with civil commitment. You can try to call the Attorney General's office. They won't help you. I wanted, again, during my third commitment, to hire my own attorney. There was an attorney I'd been talking to prior to that commitment that I wanted to retain. I told my court-appointed attorney that I did not want him to represent me because he'd done a poor job in my second commitment. So he knew as well. And my daughter told him that I wanted to hire a different attorney. And at the hospital, they restricted my phone privileges. They continued to drug me, and nobody would give me access to my financial resources. So how can I hire an attorney? And that court-appointed attorney never told the court either that I wanted a different attorney. In a criminal proceeding, another thing they could also do in civil commitment proceedings is ask the person if they feel they've been properly represented by their court-appointed attorney. In a criminal prosecution, they will ask people sometimes, do you feel that your attorney is advocating for you, defending you? Nobody ever asks that in a civil commitment proceeding. They just assume they are. So there is no, on paper in Minnesota, we have all these rights, but we have nobody to enforce the rights. So what good are they? What good are they if there's no enforcement? In a criminal proceeding, if they violate your rights, then you're dismissed. It's dismissed. But there's no oversight to make sure your rights are properly, that they're retained. And people don't seem to understand that a civil commitment is treated very similar to a criminal conviction of a felony. They're treated very similarly, except you can be rehabilitated if you're a criminal. But if you've been court labeled
Mhm.
severely mentally ill, there's no rehabilitation from that.
You've been listening to Akathisia Stories, a podcast from MIST. To learn more and get access to free educational resources, please visit mist.co. Together, we can increase awareness, prevent tragedies, and save lives. At MIST, we are all for truth and disclosure, honesty in reporting, and legitimate drug trials. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.